welcome to Those Who Can't Do. I'm Andrea Forkham, and today my guest co-host is Katy Kahn, who is an 11th
Con.
grade Kahn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they wrote it wrong on my thing.
That would not be.
I thought.
Con.
Okay, because I saw your name on the thing. He's
Yeah.
changing it right now on my form. No, so I thought it was Katy Kahn, and then I looked at that. I was like, Kahn? Am I getting this wrong? Okay, that's what I thought. Katy Kahn. God, welcome to my show. I'm gonna mispronounce your name immediately. Just immediately, passive aggressively mispronounce your name.
It's not even mine. It's my husband's name. You know what I mean?
Honestly, yeah. And you are an 11th grade English literature teacher in Philadelphia, correct?
That's correct.
Oh my gosh. Now, how long have you been teaching?
So this is going to be year 20 for me.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Been like two full decades.
Okay. So Philly that whole time?
So actually, no, I taught in a small suburb of Philadelphia for like a year and a half, long-term sub. And then when those, went away and I looked for my full-time job, excuse me. Let's just put that over there.
Did you have laundry behind you? What was it? What was behind you?
That's my phone charger.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like laundry. If it was on my couch, it would 100% be laundry. So I was not judging.
I'm like, I wouldn't bring that here.
Right. That's not what today is about.
That's not what today is about. If we want to see it, we can go over the other part of my house, but no.
Exactly. And speaking of laundry, if you guys are not watching on YouTube, you should be. But Katy is wearing my merch right now, the Intend Your Puns V-neck. I'm so delighted by that.
Cute. I love this shirt. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you saw it all on Instagram. There was a week-long campaign by me and my followers because there was an online outlet that was selling exactly that design on their store. Yeah.
Oh,
and
I did not see that.
I was so mad. Yeah. And about a month ago, I told them all, I was like, I messaged them. I was like, hey, you've got my design up for sale. Please take it down.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, sorry, we just got a bunch of new designers and we're, in a transition period. Well, then I all of a sudden get 30 messages from people. They not only didn't get rid of the design, they were using it for ads for their online store.
That is so obnoxious. There are very few things that make me mad, but people stealing other people's art and ideas is probably, it's like a weird trigger for me.
Right. And I'm like, come on. It's not that, I wouldn't have even minded if it just said intend your puns, you cowards. I don't own that phrase, but it was the exact same font.
It's written in a cool way.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
So rude.
I was so mad. And so they started using it as ads. People were sending me screenshots. So I went through and I took screenshots of everything and I posted on my stories and tagged them. And I was like, hey guys, could you just let them know how we feel about companies stealing intellectual property? And they were sending messages. And at first they were like, oh, it's just a mistake. And then the messages back changed to, we're going to take it down. And then, we took it down. And then it was 3 days later that it actually came off their site because they were lying to people and saying we already took it down. And everyone's like, I can see it. It's on your shop.
The problem was they were probably selling them really well and they didn't want to take them down.
100%. Yeah.
That is, infuriating.
Yeah. It's also somebody else is selling it on Amazon and I still haven't figured out how to get them because Amazon's weird. But yeah, so I appreciate you wearing my merch from my store.
Is your merch from your store.
Yeah, I very much appreciate that because it has been quite a journey getting
sorry about that. That's really annoying.
Yeah, it's all right. It's the world we live in. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your platform because although you are a teacher, I would not say you're a teacher creator. That's not the focus of your content. Do you want to describe how would you describe your niche as a content creator?
It's sports for people who don't like or care or understand or really want to know about sports. So I got into that very authentically and just that it started with one video where I was talking about pickup basketball and since the day I met my husband and he I would say it was 2 weeks into our relationship. It was a Sunday and he's like, I'm going to go play pickup with my friends. And I was like, I'm sorry, you're going to go pick up? Who are you picking up?
What does that mean?
What are you picking up? No, he's like, no, it's basketball. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he explains it to me. I'm like, so you're just going to go to any court and you're just going to you and two other people are going to play against strangers, and that's going to be fine. And
I
you
could
know what they're
never.
doing, and they know what you're doing. And he's like, yeah, it's like a whole culture thing. Like, he's like, we do this. And he's like, I'm like, well, what happens when somebody loses and they're like, but I want to keep playing? He goes, they don't do that. They just go to the side and wait their turn again. I'm like, that seems like a wild concept to me. And I was like,
Yeah.
you have to be lying. He's like, no. So anyway, that is something that's blown my mind for like years. And so I just
Yeah.
like, I posted those thoughts and it just like blew up. It blew up because like, some people get it. Even the guys like who play pickup get it. But then other people were
Yeah.
like, it's one of those controversial things where people would be like, is she an NPC? So it ended up also
What?
women, like that kind of thing. And I'm like, no,
Oh
no, no. Like,
gosh.
I just think this is really funny and interesting and fun. So anyway, since
Yeah.
there, it kind of just like turned into like a misunderstanding about sports page.
And it is honestly such a treat for me. Like my husband is not a sports guy at all. And I was always like, I liked sports. I played basketball in high school, but the thought of doing pickup basketball, and actually until you literally just now defined what that, I thought it just meant you met with your friends and you decided to play a
No,
casual
you're
game. I didn't
playing
realize you're meeting.
strangers. Girl, sometimes
Nightmare.
guys will go by themselves and girls, I'm sure, but like they will go. Len would sometimes be like, I'm gonna go play basketball. I'm like, with who? And he'd be like, I'm just gonna go to the court. And
Ugh,
with your ball by yourself? By
never.
yourself? What if there's a whole group of people sitting around wanting to play each other? He goes, yeah, you just go play with that. No, thank you. No,
That's a
thank
whole
you.
subculture I had no idea existed
And
until this moment.
it's everywhere. And there's like rules.
Wow.
The rules are the same everywhere you go with slight variations. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. It's
I feel like,
fascinating to me.
yeah, I feel like maybe if I had paid better attention to the beginning of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's theme song, I would
Yes.
have known
I
more
feel
about
like
pickup
that is
basketball games.
where all
That's
of
where
the
he got,
context we would need would be. Yeah.
right.
West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground was where I spent most of my days. Chilling, relaxing.
No,
No.
shooting some b-ball outside of school, couple of
And a couple of
guys.
guys who were up to no good. Started
Yeah,
making
they were
trouble in
doing,
yeah.
yeah.
Making trouble in the neighborhood. Mhm.
Yeah, and as I remember, it was over a basketball game
It
that
was.
like he got beat up. So see, now this is context clues,
Yeah.
guys. This is why
We
it's
could have figured
important.
it out. Damn it.
Okay, so one of the things I wanted to chat with you about, because the most hilarious thing about your page is the fact that you are very intentionally and very ironically presenting sports facts that may or may not be actual facts.
Mhm.
And I think, and you do it so well. Like, I am cracking up with the way that you talk about the different like athletic events and the different athletes and all of that. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about like media literacy and
Mhm.
students today and how they kind of work that in to their little mind palaces.
Mm.
Because like you and I understand like satire. And I
Yes.
feel like
Yes.
a lot of people don't understand satire in
They do
general.
not.
But like, how do you feel like kids are kind of absorbing all of this information without really the critical thinking skills that you and I have? Hopefully, I'm there because to be very clear, I have believed things I saw on the internet that turned
Same.
out to not be true.
Same. We all
Yeah.
have. Because
Mhm.
it's done so well now. I mean, like, I remember sending an article. It's like I think it was in the start of COVID, and I sent an article to my friends. Like it came from one friend. I then forwarded to other friends, and those friends were like, "This isn't real." And I was like, "I cannot believe I just did that," because I like to think that I'm like star critical thinker, like
Right.
and that turned out like
Yeah.
everybody falls for this, and it's like
Yeah.
our students I just read an article where it's saying like 60 to 69% of kids actually believe in conspiracies. Like there's like they are conspiracy theory like thinking it's it's like pervasive. And it's
Yeah.
just like that they don't know what's real or what's fake online, and that is because we're not teaching them this skill.
Like,
We're not.
how though? Like, how do we teach them that? Because I gave myself the ick one time when I shared something, or I think I even said it to a class. There was something like that where it was like an audience. It was either my husband, who will always make me check my facts,
Yep. Same.
or it was
Mhm.
like a full class who will always make me check my facts. And like, where did you hear that? And I was like, TikTok. like,
On a
which
really
is just
believable
as
from a really believable sounding person.
right, exactly. They were speaking very passionately,
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
like,
And they
and then I
had
was like, "Oh,
graphics
no."
on the page. There's graphics.
Yes.
It
And
can't possibly be
statistics.
fake. Yeah. They would like flash
Right.
a number on the screen. I know logos.
Yeah. It is crazy though that like literally any video that we're watching, how often are we like, "Oh, they put a statistic up there. Where's their citation? Like where are they getting that
Mhm.
statistic? What's the source? Who funded the research that got that statistic?"
That is all the stuff that
Like,
kids need to be taught. Like, okay, so even me, like a lot of the stuff that I put up there is it's the videos will be moved from one like some type I just make up all the stuff, right? Like I'll just make it
yeah,
up because I'm just making it up. But other times like what I say is accurate. And I'll
right.
flash up there like as many people do, just like the article, but I never like
Yeah.
cite where that article came from. I usually cut that out in the overlay just to make like the overlay smaller. So like these
Yeah.
videos that we're watching, like many people will say something, they'll flash an article up there, but we don't know where they're getting that from. There's no place to really, I mean, I guess people could be linking it. The better TikTok like information videos do have articles linked, but like in general, that's not
Yeah.
what's happening. And how do we teach our
Right.
students to be like when you watch something and you think it's really interesting and you're like, wow, I never knew that. Like, do they have their articles linked? Are they citing their sources? What they're flashing up there? Does it look like you don't know where they're getting that? So like, how do
Yeah.
we teach our students that is the
Well, and I
question.
think part of the problem is too is like in the algorithm, if you took the time
Hmm.
to say, I got this from New York Times or I got this from what Pew Research or whatever it is, like the algorithm's not going to like that because people are going to get bored in and I don't think people understand how quickly people get bored on TikTok. So they'll just scroll,
Scroll
right? And it's we all
three
do
seconds.
it.
Yes, we do.
Right. Yeah, and, like, people get bored way too quickly, so if you took the
Hmm.
time to be like, "I got this from this research institute," people are like, "Meh,
Hmm.
meh." All they wanna
Or
hear is, like, the spicy
yes,
pieces of it,
100%.
and so it kind of fights against
Hmm.
proper citing and all of that if we're sitting there being like, "Okay, well, I don't wanna talk about where I got the information, not because it's not a good source, but because I'm gonna lose a lot of the impact because people aren't gonna see it. It's gonna get pushed down." Or if you say, like, "I'll post a link in my bio to the sources," the second you say link in bio, the
They're
algorithm
gone.
pushes it down too.
They're gone. People like the
Yeah.
engagement is they're gonna be like losing it. Like, and that's and even if you
Mhm.
have the links there, like if you even put yourself out there as like a person who's like, hey, I'm really reliable, all my links are on the bios, like anybody new that comes across your page is not gonna know that or even be looking for that or even like
Yeah.
caring. They don't people don't care where things come
Yeah.
from anymore. And that's kind
Yeah.
of the issue. And we are of a
Right.
generation who learned to check our sources, but like our kids, our students are not like being brought up in that same way.
Right. Now, so in your classroom, what are some strategies you're using to kind of encourage students to start checking sources or verify information in some way? Have you found anything that's been successful?
No, here's the craziest thing. So we have a curriculum. We're switching curriculums. Like this is the last year with it, and then I don't know what we're using the following year. And I hope it comes with some media and digital literacy like units.
Yeah.
But the one that we were currently using does have a media literacy unit. And I was really excited about it. I was like, oh, perfect. Now,
Right.
we as a school didn't include that in the unit plan, but I was like, I'm gonna do this anyway. I'm gonna figure out a way to include it.
Right.
Well, I look at it and all of the articles, this is terrible. All of the articles are like Facebook articles, like on Facebook, on Facebook, on Facebook. I'm like, if I were to give my students a media literacy unit that uses Facebook as its like base sources, article after article about Facebook. Now listen, totally like interesting, doable, like the right skill, all of that stuff, sure. But like my
Right.
kids, they're gonna make fun of it. They're gonna make fun of it.
Yeah. They're gonna be like, this is not relatable at all because
Yep.
and so many of these kids, and I will say I have more students at the college here that have a Facebook account than I expected, far
Mm,
more. And I always would ask them why. I'm like,
yeah.
so what are you doing on Facebook? And they're like, contacting my parents and my grandparents. And I'm like, okay, that tracks. Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yes. So they do have it, but they don't trust the information from Facebook. I think that's more of like our parents' generation.
Mhm.
Kind of the gosh, what would it be? Like I guess boomers and what is it? we're millennials. So what's the in between?
Uh,
Gen
Gen
X?
X,
Gen X.
Gen X.
Yeah, which I don't think Gen X tends to believe the Facebook nonsense
It's just the
either.
boomers.
Yeah, I think it's mostly the boomers. And there's a lot of derision from like younger generations for that like, oh, that's just what you're seeing on Facebook and you're believing it. And then in the same breath, they'll be like, you should see this thing I saw on TikTok though. And it's like, I,
Oh,
but like you realize it's not any more
it's not any
verified
better. Nope.
at all.
And like, so that's what I mean. Like, so
Yeah.
here's the thing about boomers. So boomers, when they were growing up with media, there was like an ethics code. There was like a bar that like journalists
Right.
had to reach. So then they just assumed that like Facebook had the same bar, like the articles that were like popping up on their Facebook had the same bar, but like because
Yeah.
it looked like all the media sources they were used to seeing over, since 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever.
Yeah.
So there's like, I don't want to say I don't want to excuse them, but like I understand that with
Yeah.
the younger generations, like I feel like this is a 110% fault of the educational system. Like I feel like
Yeah.
we're at fault for not like 2010, we could have started making these differences, like these changes
Yeah.
in the classroom. And I feel like some places are doing it well. Some people are doing it, but like, and there's like this grassroots movement across America to kind of like prop up, like, hey, like we need media and digital literacy. And there are some states that are doing it, but like most aren't.
Yeah.
And if they are, like what are they even using? Like what
Right.
curriculum? So I try. Okay, so listen. So this year, this is such a mess. So it was probably September, and my students started talking about, well, that's because it's the Illuminati. I'm like, well, what do you mean what? And now I have heard obviously the conspiracy theories around the Illuminati, and like it is based in absolute truth. Like there was an Illuminati movement, but then like somewhere around I think it was like the 1960s, there was like like a purposeful chaos sewing movement, like that was
Mhm.
born like with the hippies, and they like this group of people wanted to like put this information out there and kind of like sow chaos. So like they propped up this Illuminati like conspiracy, like, hey, all of these elites are doing X, Y, and Z. And then it just like became part of like the fabric and mythos of like our culture. But like now,
Yeah.
but then when the internet came about, it became like this bigger thing. Beyonce's in the Illuminati and Jay-Z is in the Illuminati. But like if you ask my students, it's not like a cool, like sort of like conspiracy theory. Like, wouldn't it be neat if these people were doing this? It is,
Right.
yep, there's the Illuminati and they're controlling everything.
Oh my gosh.
And
That
it's
is wild.
it is wild. But I was like, well, wait a second, like, wait, raise your hand. 100% of students raise their hand. I'm like, okay. I'm like, but do you know this for a fact? And then I asked them that question I always ask, which is who benefits from this narrative? Like who is benefiting from this? And like
Right.
that whole like thinking isn't there. So then I have to start from
Right.
scratch, but I don't have a curriculum I can go to. So I'm like,
Right.
I guess I'm making up my own. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
nonfiction, so I can fit it easily with my nonfiction unit. I'm just like
Yeah.
kind of doing my own thing, but like that takes time because you can't just give kids, you can't give anybody really just like an article that says, see, you're wrong, I'm right. Like that's not the way
Right.
it works. Like it's like,
Yeah.
let's think through this together and like try to figure out like how to learn about it or change our way of thinking or questioning what we're seeing. And so I
Yeah.
started the unit and I'm like, thinking I'm great. I am like, I found this article, I found this article. These are the questioning that I'm like gonna get to the part of, this unit where like the kids are like, oh, okay, that aha we always want with kids. And I'm
Yeah.
like thinking I'm killing it. The kids are engaged, everything's great. Day one, day two. So the day one, I give them like a survey, like how many of you believe in this theory?
Right.
100% of 100 students are like, yes. So then we go through this day after day, and I'm thinking I'm killing it, killing it, killing it. Friday comes along. I give them the survey again. How many of you believe in this conspiracy theory? 100% of kids. Actually, that's not true. It's
No.
99%. One kid was like, I don't believe this anymore. That was it. I was like, but then I was like, I don't know how to teach it, right? Like I thought I
Right.
was doing the right thing, but I think like I'm at this, I don't have these skills like, to
Yeah.
be able to, like, because it's one thing to know it, it's another to, like, build it.
Yeah. That is so wild to think about that, like, they are so entrenched
Yep.
in that
Yep.
level of conspiracy theory.
Mhm.
Cause like I only know like vague things about what has been said about the Illuminati and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not super familiar, but like you said, like who benefits from this and all of that. It just that is wild. That is
I'm
so
like, what do you think
wild.
they're doing, guys? Oh, they're just like running things, making decisions in the world is their thing. I'm like, well, how do you know someone's in it? Oh, when they have like this picture or use these colors or do this hand symbol or whatever it is, it's like, that's how you know.
Oh,
And that, I'm like, oh, okay. So like, but the proof and there's, that is the proof.
right,
And then they direct you. And I had students, I'm like, okay, bring me where, like, walk me through your evidence. And then it was just
right.
TikTok video after TikTok video after TikTok video
Yep.
of these really cool, like well done sort of like music underneath it and
Mhm.
graphic. And like to the kids, like this is the proof. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I see why you believe this because it's really compelling.
Yeah. And the production value to them equals a
Hmm.
valid source. They're
Yep.
like, well, how well is the video
Yep.
created? There must be money behind it and research behind it when that's not the case.
I could
Like,
do great production fab, right?
right.
The TikTok studio has a lot of magic
Oh my
buttons.
gosh.
Mhm.
Yeah. I had a class that I taught for the university this year that was a social media class.
Mm.
And one of the things I wanted us to grapple with is how social media impacts culture and like how we define truth. And so one of the things I had them do was I had them there was a specific person, a non-political person. I don't really want to say because people have such strong opinions about this person.
Yeah,
I'll
go
tell you
ahead.
later. But
Okay.
yeah. But it's not a political person.
Okay.
But I had them go around campus and interview them or interview the people on campus and ask them their opinion about this famous person and write down like what their answers were and ask them why they felt that way and ask them where they heard about that
Mhm.
person doing XYZ or saying XYZ. And pretty much across the board, they would interview people and these people would have very strong opinions about this person. And they would make all of these blanket statements about this person. But then when they asked, like, okay, well, where did you hear this? It was always hearsay. It was always somebody else
Mhm.
told me that this person is X, Y, and Z. It wasn't really based on, oh, I heard or I read like that they said these things. It was all based on hearsay, what they heard on TikTok or on Instagram, mostly on
Mhm.
TikTok.
Mhm.
And it was really good for my group and my class to kind of see, okay, well, here's like the cold hard facts. This is what was said by this person. This is what everyone feels about this person
Yep.
now. Like, if they had just seen what the person had said or wrote, would they feel that way? Or are they just being swayed by the fact that it's very popular to feel that way? And, in a university scenario, it's much easier to do that. Because, when I was teaching high school, I would not have tackled something quite that complex because
Mhm.
parents on either side
Yep.
of that argument would for sure be pulling up. And my
Mhm.
goal is like, I made it very clear to them, like, my goal is not to like make you think this person is great or make you think this person is evil. I just want you to actually come up with your own opinion.
Yeah.
One that's not just you mimicking what you're hearing online, but actually form your own opinion on the value that this person brings to, the community and the world and all of that kind of stuff. And it was really, really fascinating how I could tell they were like getting to the
Yep.
place where they were like, oh, yeah. And I should have, but I didn't do a survey at the beginning and the end on their opinion about that person. I think I'm going to do that this next year because I'm reteaching the class and I'll ask them at the beginning, like, what's your opinion about this person?
Yep.
Cool. Like, where did you get that information? All of that, because
Mhm.
we all do it. And you mentioned conspiracy theories. Uh, One of the conspiracy theories I have seen all over TikTok is the Helen Keller one.
Uh,
I'm gonna have Rob share a video real quick of kind of the summary of what the perspective is for this one.
There's no way Helen Keller is real. The stories have to be fabricated. Deaf and blind, and she was racist.
Against who?
I don't know. So she was smelling
That right there, the fact that people are literally like, they're
Mhm.
like, she doesn't exist. Like I've heard because there was statements about her like flying a plane, like which from what I gather, like the situation was like she was like in the plane and like held it for a second or something. But like people really strongly believe Helen Keller did not exist, or weirdly enough, mix her up with like Anne Frank, which
What?
is I kid you not. I've had like so many times where students are like, wait, was that the one like in the attic? And it's like, no,
No.
no. She was deaf and blind. Like,
Oh.
no, that's a completely
Yep.
different story. Like, and
Two amazing girls.
amazing, incredible humans. And they transpose them somehow. And I'm like, how do you mix those two up?
I
But
mean,
I
it's a
kid you
lack
not,
of
if
paying
you were to-
attention.
Mhm.
Or, right?
Yeah, 100%. They're just really passively, absorbing information. Because I did a TikTok video like responding to a student as if they were telling me that Helen Keller is not real.
Mm.
And I was blown away by how many comments I had that were like, no, she really isn't though.
Shut
and
up.
I'm like, you guys,
Uh,
who benefits?
What did you do? Then do you do a follow-up video? Like, who benefits? Yeah, but that's the question. Who benefits from pretending that there was a woman who was deaf and blind, who was extremely successful and wrote a bunch of books and did a bunch of things? Who benefits from that? From that lie?
Right. Yeah. I got nothing.
It's just a really great story. I actually
Yeah.
am familiar with that conspiracy. And I was like, and there's that, and it's like coming from like this place so that people can't believe that somebody, this is like a weird, like, I don't even know where I read this, but a woman who was saying like her belief was that perhaps this comes from a place of jealousy where somebody could be both deaf and blind and so successful. And so it's like,
Yeah.
well, how is that even possible when other people are not that successful? Like something
Right.
like that. Like it comes from a place, like our need to believe in conspiracies come from like something else.
Yeah. Like I can see and hear and still like haven't written my book. You know?
I have not
Like,
written a book and feel
have not
pretty
flown a plane.
salty.
Right.
about
I'm
it.
a little upset about that piece.
Yeah.
Like, how is that she was so much more successful and that's it.
With exactly. That is what, and I'm like, maybe that is where this comes from. I don't even know. But like, where did it start?
Yeah. Like who was the first person that was like told in class about this incredible, like inspirational person who
Mhm.
overcame so much adversity and they just went, nah.
No, no.
Like,
But wait a second.
nah.
Here's her books. Here's like
Right.
here's this. No,
Nah.
that's
Don't believe it. Like
that's made up. That's a
Right.
great point. Like, who was the first person to say no? The same thing
the audacity.
with birds aren't real. I have students who believe that birds aren't real. But that comes from a very specific place. And this is, and gets to a whole nother point. Ready? So, okay. So I'm in class and I'm talking about, I forget the conspiracy theory that like, whatever. And this was just a study. Well, somebody else was having a study hall in my classroom. And the teacher was like, well, they don't believe these are my students from last year. They don't believe that birds are real. And I look and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. Have you ever seen a baby bird? That was
so many times.
so many. I'm like,
These poor kids living in the middle of a city are like, I've never seen an egg before.
I've never seen an egg before.
Never seen a baby.
But I think if you were to ask my son, like, have you ever seen a baby bird? And I think he'd be like, no, I haven't seen a baby bird. But I don't know if he would automatically assume that birds are. So this is coming from a guy who like it was like a joke. He like made a joke out of it and then kind of like went with that joke and then eventually was like, hey guys, I'm just joking. But like now, and even though he came out saying like, hey, I'm just joking, birds are real. Too many people began to follow that. And then now it's just like in the fabric of information. And now it's just a part of like, yes, I know. But like we can't make jokes anymore. That's my point.
Yeah.
We can't joke anymore. Like there's no room for jokes.
Because people just take it as like actual fact and truth. And
no more jokes.
There's no more jokes.
We need to be living in a humorless society.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That'll fix it all. That is insane to me. I feel like that's probably a belief shared by kids that live in more like developed city areas. Cause like, but even when I was living in Fallbrook, California, which is like very much like, you know, not the middle of nowhere, we had like mourning doves that would nest and you would see the little baby birds and all of that. The government is very busy making birds if all birds are not real.
Well, that's why I asked, I go, who benefits from making up birds? They're like, well, they're the spies. Is that what they're tracking?
Spanish.
I was like, okay, well, that's from a Black Mirror episode, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or some version of that. I think maybe there were bees, whatever it was.
Gosh.
Whatever it was.
Jeez.
It comes from Black Mirror. But like, again, like you mixing this like fact and fiction and it gets
Right.
muddled.
And also the low-key narcissism that like that the government is creating that many robot birds to watch you play video games in your room and eat Cheetos is insane. Like they don't actually care that much.
We are not that interesting to the government.
We are. And there's not enough people working for the government to analyze. I mean, AI exists now, so they could probably analyze it that way. But okay, so we are going to go for a quick break. And then I'm going to have Katy share some sports opinions and sports facts with us. So we will be right back. Welcome back to Those Who Can't Do. And Katy, you are a sports expert and know everything about sports. Is that correct?
Sports bird.
Excellent. Sports bird. Since you are a TikTok sports girly, and I now work at Indiana State, which I'm wearing the Indiana State shirt today. Got to rep the college. And recently, a very sad thing happened. Which I think in one of your TikToks, you maybe even talked about our sweet baby angel, Robbie Avila, who was at Indiana State. He was, they called him like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because he's like 6'6" and does not look like an athlete, I think is what most people would say, but just crushed it on the court, like absolutely crushed it. And he was amazing. And we had a great starting lineup of basketball players. Like it was just incredible watching them play. And then the end of the year came and every single one got poached and are now at a different school because they've decided to start paying all of the college players.
Yep.
Like okay, I'm sure your husband has opinions about this. What has he kind of said? Because from my perspective, I've never been a part of a community that rallied behind the ISU basketball team like they did this year. Like the downtown Terre Haute, they had painted windows.
That's so cool.
Robbie, like there were kids wearing Robbie Avila jerseys, dressed up, got his glasses. Like one kid Sharpied like Robbie's tattoo on his arm. Like it was so fun and sweet to see. And it was the best season ISU has had since Larry Bird was here. So it's like massive. And then at the end of the year, because like very recently, I think they made this big shift into paying college players and now they're all gone. And like, we're so screwed.
And like, what are you going to do? Who's on the team next year?
Yeah, exactly. All new people because Indiana State is a public university. And so when they decided they were going to start paying all of these players, essentially they said like, okay, if you're a small state school that can't afford to pay a freshman player a lot of money, you might get one Cinderella year and then everyone else is going to get poached for these massive universities.
Yep.
Like
it's really frustrating for me. Like, cause I get it. Like on one hand, I know that when, before, what is the rule called? That's what I mean. Like I did do a video on this. I forget what it's called. Whatever it's called where this with the student athletes. Yeah. So before that, you're using these students like talent and their likeness and they're getting nothing from it. They're not allowed to like have a brand deal, I think. Like all of this stuff was like not allowed. And then now all of a sudden it's completely flipped and you have kids making millions upon millions of dollars. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like there has to be a balance in between.
Yeah.
The pendulum went,
crazy. And like, I don't blame the players. Like, I don't blame Robbie Avila for leaving because like, and first of all, I've heard he's very sweet, very good guy, but I heard he got offered like $350K to play at another school. And I'm like, yeah, bye. Like you're almost making more than the president of the university. Yeah. I bet you are going to go take that opportunity, especially because you don't know what's going to happen between now and if you're going to get into the NBA. What if you have an injury? Like you better like,
and that's
actually make
the point. It's like, and you don't even know if you're going to get, because you have like some really great athletes that may not ever make it to the pros. And so it's like, get your bag now while you can.
Right.
But now you have the talent consolidated, right? Like all over like in certain places and then everywhere else it's just sort of stuck.
And I wonder what that is going to mean for high schoolers if I think about the students that I worked with in high school whose dreams were to then go and play college ball. And the chance now for some of them to so quickly get out of poverty and to have more money than they or their families even have ever seen, is that going to be a net positive for these kids and an opportunity? I just think it happened, and I don't actually know how quickly it happened. It feels like the change happened very quickly, and I'm wondering if there are going to be any supports for these young athletes who are now in college and making six figures.
I think there is. I think I saw that somewhere or heard that somewhere where this is also coming with help on the back end. Hey,
Good.
This is how we need to set you up for financial success moving forward. You're not just being thrown this money and then
Good.
or it's being paid out over sort of time. I did read that somewhere, but I don't know the details on it.
Yeah.
And hopefully some places, not all, but I did see that. Yes.
Okay,
I
good.
think so.
Yeah. Because that would be insane.
It would be insane.
That amount of money is wild anyways. But then on top of that, to be 18, 19, 20 years old and all of a sudden have all these opportunities. And on the other side of the basketball and sports in Indiana, Caitlin Clark, she plays for Indianapolis. So she is in my backyard, and that's all I don't know if it's just my algorithm because I watch every video that she comes up in. But
Right.
Are you seeing a lot of Caitlin Clark and what's the other girl's name?
Angel Reese.
Yes, and Angel Reese. It's all that my feed has now, and I've never watched WNBA before. Never a day in my life.
I think this is great. I think this is the positive. And I think people are surprised that there's so much drama surrounding it, but I'm what? There's drama in every sport.
Every sport, always.
Always. And the girls are just playing. They would still be playing like this, even if we didn't know that there were these games going on, which is what it was last year, 2 years ago.
Exactly.
I love the attention that they're bringing to it. I just think that Caitlin Clark is so cool. And then Angel Reese, I love her. I love everything about her. And I like when they play each other and all of that kind of stuff goes down. One girl that was also a rookie just recently got hurt. And I'm I actually felt really emotional for her. Cameron, she just tore her ACL. And
Is that what happened?
Yeah. And it's are you freaking kidding me? You live your whole life for this month, but this goes back to getting paid in college. Imagine
yeah.
Well, first of all, these female athletes, they are not getting paid a lot from the WNBA, right? I don't know what their salary is, but it's not all that much. So these brand deals or what they made in college is actually a boost for them. But here she is hurt. I'm sure she'll be back. Can you imagine? Her season, I believe, is probably done.
Has to be. Yeah, has to be. ACL takes a while to heal.
Right?
Well, and so I do know Caitlin Clark, I believe when she signed on, makes about $70,000.
That's insane.
It is, but I will say the WNBA does not actually make any money. They have
no.
At this point. And so I do I want to advocate so hard and be pay them more. And I think it's going to come, but the WNBA doesn't make any money yet. And so I'm okay, well, that's hard to argue. It's hard to be
I agree
pay them
with
millions when they're
I agree with that.
Well, we need to start we need to start buying tickets, guys. If we really believe they should get paid, let's start going to the games then.
Yeah. And they have been selling
ways.
out. They've been selling out stadiums now. So I think and I wonder where does that money go? Is that just go back into the salaries? I don't even know. Is it go to next year's salaries? I don't know. But all of the stadium sellouts now has to be doing something. But it's a momentum that I hope continues as opposed to slowing down or people becoming tired of it. And I think also there's a WNBA channel, a specific channel that plays all the games. And it was $35 to subscribe to that channel. So there was a movement going around for a while that's all right, well, you say you support this, you support the sport, buy this channel.
Right. Yeah.
Not that I know
actually support the sport.
And I legitimately don't like sports. So I'm I would love to support this, but I also know that
I support the idea of it.
I support the idea of it. I support other people getting, watching it all.
Yeah.
But I'm personally not going to watch a basketball game. I think
I
love
will.
it for that.
I think so. I watched. Yes, I would go. I would for sure go to a game, and I live really close, so I need to actually go to a game.
You do.
And
how far away
support
is it for
Caitlin
you?
Clark. I'm Girl, like an hour. It's very, very close.
Oh
so
my
I need to
God.
actually, put my
You
money where
gotta
my
get a
mouth is and
ticket this
actually
summer.
I know, and take my daughter because my daughter would be so
Yes.
hyped. It's so funny because my husband hated basketball for the longest time because he played football in high school and Indiana is where he grew up. And so it was really tough for him to be a football player in a basketball state. And so he is slowly coming over to the side of like enjoying watching basketball and stuff because we went to the ISU games and all of that. But it would be really, really fun to take my daughter to see like Caitlin Clark play. And I did just hear recently that Caitlin Clark signed a deal with, see, this is terrible. We talk about information literacy and then I don't have any, I can't cite any of my sources.
I feel like I said
but she
5 things today where I was like, I don't know who said this, but go ahead.
But we're being very honest that we don't know. Check us, please, guys. Please fact check us. This whole segment of us talking about sports, fact check everything we said because we clearly don't know what we're talking about.
Not a single thing has been accurate. I guarantee you, it's all
not a single thing. We've got a lot of opinions, but that's about it.
Get our information.
But
from TikTok.
I heard. Right. I heard that she got a deal, like a sneaker deal that is one of the biggest ones that has been done since Jordan's.
I have also heard that, yes.
Which I hope that's true. I hope she gets buckets of cash, and I would fully buy like some Caitlin Clark sneakers. 1,000%.
100%. And that's the weird thing is like I don't necessarily want to see a game, right? But like
I'll wear the shoes.
I'll wear the shoes.
You know what? We could both get the shoes and then we could head down to the basketball courts for a pickup game together.
Like, I don't even want to do that.
Like, doesn't that sound like a fresh hell to just go?
Fresh hell.
To like just go to a court and be like, hi, strangers. I would love to show you how medium bad I am at basketball.
You might be medium bad. I am low bad. Like, I'm real bad. Well, I've never played.
Like, can you imagine? Like we would show up and we wouldn't understand. Like your husband said, like there's all of like everyone just knows how to be, and we don't.
It's a great community, Katie.
Don't know how to be at all.
No,
we would ruin everything.
They would leave. They'd be like, who asked these girls to come? I'm like, well, I heard on the internet that this is just a very welcoming community.
Right. I'm here for the community. They'd try and like check the ball before playing and we would just take it and just go and like, don't throw the ball at me.
I actually want you to give me the ball. I just wanted to wear the shoes.
I played basketball in high school. Like I was a pretty decent, so I was at a very small Christian school where my graduating class was like 50 some people, right?
That's small.
So yeah. So I was captain of the varsity basketball team. But keep in mind, the world's smallest pond,
right?
Being the best female basketball player in the world's smallest pond is not actually that good.
Yeah, but when you went to bed last night, you were feeling good. You're like,
I was feeling great. I was so good because we also only played other teeny tiny private Christian or Catholic or Jewish parochial schools. Like that was it. That was our pool. So we were like, there were some games. I put some points up. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, you were the Caitlin Clark of, where'd you go?
I was the Caitlin Clark of the regional Christian schools in Vista, California. Let me tell you.
Nobody else holds that title, just you.
No, just me. And I did one time, I had my own little rivalry too, because there was one girl who I came down from a rebound and I stuck my elbow out and I broke her nose. I was violent. Yeah. It wasn't on purpose.
Was
but
that
I also
a flagrant foul?
I don't think I actually got called on a foul because I was quick with it, but
see, this is what it was. You had the special refs. You had special treatment.
Yeah, but clearly because I was Caitlin Clark of the
they
Christian
knew that.
school circuit.
Caitlin Clark, and they said it. So, I mean, good for you. So you actually do play. So you know how many minutes a basketball game is, for example.
Okay, but did you know that the boys and the girls are different? Because I did not. There's 4 quarters in the girls, and in the guys, it's 2 halves. And so we went, see that face? We went, I think that's right. Again, fact check me, you guys, because it's been a minute. It may have changed. It's been a long time since high school. But I went to the ISU game, and I'm waiting for them to like have the break after the quarter, and they just kept going. And I was like, wait, what?
You're like why is somebody going to blow a whistle? This is ridiculous.
Guys, this is like really long. And I think it's like 2 20-minute halves. Is that wrong? I don't know.
Did you look at me? Were you looking at me for that answer?
Okay. Rob is helping me. It's 2 halves in college and 4 quarters.
Does Rob know that
in
off the top of
prose.
his head, or is he Googling it?
He's probably Googling it, honestly. He said he knew it. He knew it. We got to give Rob all the
Good job, Rob.
So there we go. Now we know. So why is college different? That's so weird.
I don't know.
Also, other fun facts. Okay, so there was like the big March Madness bracket, right? That like everyone wants to get into. ISU didn't get an invite. We got snubbed, which burn everything down to the ground.
Rude.
Right? But then they have another tournament that's like a lesser tournament. And we were invited to that one.
March Sadness?
It's kind of what it was. I forget what the bracket's called, but it's like if you didn't get invited to the cool one, you got to be in like the B team bracket. And that's what we were in.
Okay.
But they do crazy things. Like for part of it, they changed where the 3-point line was. Like they just moved it just to see. I don't know. Like they were like, this is just, it's a postseason thing just to see how we like it. And I'm like, what?
Oh, this is like, it's like when we're teaching and they're like, hey, fourth RP, you guys are going to teach this new unit. We're just going to see how we like it for next year if we like this like approach.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. It was that.
Very strange. And the 3 points were not going well, but I think maybe that was the point. I don't know. It's like also in addition to the fact you don't get to do real March Madness, we're going to put you in March Sadness and we're going to change where the 3-point line is.
You guys don't mind.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind, but also we don't care because you didn't get invited to the cool club. So
yeah. So like you guys beggars can't be choosers. Beggars are losers. So
exactly. But at the same time, like you're still taking our best people and poaching them to the cool schools. So I don't like that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. Thank you. This has been Sports Talk with Andrea and Katy.
Sports Talk with people who know nothing about sports. No definitive thing was stated.
No,
I think we just talked for 20 minutes and nothing definitive. It was like right before you like land like a point, you know, like you feel good here. Our plane was just like hovering above it. Like, I'm gonna land this one because I don't know if I'm right.
Should pull right back up.
Circle back around.
Oh my gosh. That's right. So please fact check everything we shared because none of it is completely based in fact, but lots of opinions from us.
This is a real-time lesson on digital literacy.
Yeah, we were testing you guys.
Yeah.
It was a test.
Did you believe anything we said?
Did you believe?
Because if so,
critical thinking.
Shame on you.
Shame on you for believing us. Speaking of people believing us, I also get viewer submissions to ask us questions. And so I have a question for you, which is actually perfect since you are an English 11 teacher. And this person says they're looking for ideas for an English 11 culminating project. My kids are small groups, so learning disabilities with some English language learners mixed in, and they are so over testing. So she doesn't want to do like a big test. They need a way to show their knowledge and hard work that excites them. I'm fairly new and I've seen ideas for portfolios, but it feels almost like giving up. I want them... there is some truth to that. I want them to feel excited to create something that shows how hard they have worked. I know that sounds idealistic and newbie-ish, but my kids are pretty cool. So I think if they had the right project, they could get into it.
I think there's like, this is the thing about this is that it has to be started in September. Like, and oftentimes for culminating projects, we like think of it in RP4 and we're like, oh, shoot. And then it does seem like you're just like throwing something at the wall. And the kids know when you've thrown something at them.
100%.
They're like, what is this? Am I actually being graded on this?
Yeah. They're like, is there a rubric? And you're like, there will be. By the time I grade it, probably I'll have a rubric.
After I grade 3 or 4 of yours, then I'll have a rubric.
Exactly.
When I determine what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that one of the things that I think that really makes sense for this is like, if you think about it in the beginning, if you have them do something, I think from September to June, something that like they care about. So like, let's say it's a school rule and it's like, hey, now this needs a lot of thought, but like, let's say they want to change like the uniform rule or something about school lunch or going out to lunch, any of those things. If they like throughout the course of the year can be like gathering information about this rule that they want to change, the logos, like doing like, gathering like student perception or talking to the administration. If they do that all, of course, like, but they have to implement things that they're learning. Like if they just like learned how to like, do a chart in like Google Docs or whatever, like Excel, then they have to incorporate that in the culminating project, but they're gathering that data throughout the year. So all throughout the year, they're like they can still incorporate these skills that you're teaching them, but like the topic is something that really interests them that they want to change at the school.
Yeah.
But then not just at the school, there's some students who like have bigger issues that they want to like deal with. Like I've had students like try to say like, I want to change this in our city. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, if you want to go to that big, like, goal, then have at it. But like your
Right.
project is then going to look like more broad. But anyway,
Yeah.
they could do that throughout the course of the year. And then in May, put it all together.
Yeah. I think that's a really good idea. I feel like what's the name of it? Where you have like one day a week that is like for brainstorming that. There's like a special term that people use for it. It's like mastermind hour or something like, what is it called?
I don't know. I haven't heard of it.
You haven't? Oh my gosh. It's something like it's basically an hour every week that is completely devoted to whatever their pet project, their passion project is.
Yep.
And it's completely creative. And it's like you said, like using the skills that they're learning in class, but that it is a specific time set aside each week for them to work on that.
Yeah, that's the only way it'll work.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, when I had English 11 and at the end had them do, because I much prefer project-based learning to any kind of like multiple choice test, not for grading, but for like outcomes and all of that kind of stuff. Because multiple choice is
so much easier.
Way better to grade. But I would have students if I wasn't looking at the whole semester, because like Katie said, I feel like if you're going to do something that's the whole semester, you will have had to start at the beginning of the semester.
Beginning of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Depending on how far you want to go back with your students. But for me, I would usually focus on the last unit and I would give them a choice board where they had the same like analytical goal for each of them, but they could show it in different ways. So I would have a student, usually it was like a novel study. So they could like create a soundtrack and then they had to explain why each of the songs related to like each of the symbols in the book. Or they could do a like tourism guide and then they had to explain the setting and like major places and why those are major places in the book. And so like it kind of gave them some options to look and allowed them to use like their, creativity and stuff. But that tends to work a little bit better if you have a novel study and if you have kids, with different learning modalities and learning abilities and EL in there. It might be a little bit more challenging to have it with a novel study, but it really depends on the group of kids. So yeah, like
I do find that like when you put groups of students together, they have varying levels of like interests and strengths anyway. So even with the different learning modalities, like you can have a student who's less like really like I've had students who are just doing the art, like I'm just going to sit there and do the art while the other kids are like typing up like whatever it is that they, have learned or put together, whatever it is. And so they're all three working or all four working on something different. And I think that those are fun. They also can go off the rails. So you need like
aggressively
a really good rubric.
Yeah, really good rubric ahead of time before you assign it, which is a mistake I made plenty of times where I'd be like, I have this great idea. It literally just came to me 5 minutes before. And they're like, how are we going to be graded? And I'm like,
great question. You know what? It's a mystery that
with rigor. With so much rigor. Yeah. A lot of rigor and it's going to be great. And you guys just need to fully commit to doing the absolute best you can.
Me. Have I ever let you down?
Just trust me.
Have I ever let you down in this classroom? No?
Oh, that's the name of this episode, I think. Just trust me.
Yes, that's actually the whole theme.
The whole thing. Just trust me.
But you told us not to trust anything we hear. Wow.
I know.
You know
Irony. What? There we go. Critical thinking. Okay, so something else I like to share is what some of the students have been up to of my followers' students. So something that I got submitted to me so many times over the past few weeks is kids making candy salads. Have you had this in your class?
No, I have not.
Like every kid brings a bag of their favorite candy and then they put it in a big bowl and mix it up and then have like a salad and like take it. And
if this is a new thing, then I'm going to see it next year.
100%. Yeah. It's apparently, or chips, like everyone brings their favorite chips and mixes it together. And that sounds like a sensory nightmare to me to put a bunch of different flavors of chips. That's like mixing Skittles and M&Ms together.
No,
like
thank you.
Violent behavior.
No.
on both ends.
Are they putting where are kids putting this? Like in bowls?
I think in like a bowl, and then they're just partaking like communion, just passing it around. I got
They're just passing the bowl of like
I think
unwrapped
so.
candy around.
Like, yes, and just partaking. I got nothing, man. But everyone's sending me pictures of like there was one where like kids had given a sign-up list of all the different candies that were going to be brought, and then another that was just a picture of a bowl of just
All
different
of those
types
candies.
of candy. Yeah.
Now, are some candies are wrapped, some candies are unwrapped? What's it look
It's
like?
just they're just raw dogging
Just
it.
chaos.
There's no wrappers
Just chaos.
anywhere. Yeah. It's just all raw candy just floating about. You can tell that no one is paying attention to any kind of pandemic guidelines anymore. They're like,
Nope.
pandemic's
Like,
over, I guess. Let's go
now
ahead
we're
and create
encouraging
new
COVID.
disease. Yeah, like let's see how many diseases we can spread actually today. Today's the day.
Wild.
Yeah.
No,
it's
I
disgusting.
have not heard this.
Yeah.
It has not come to Philadelphia yet.
Oh, good.
It will.
Yeah.
I guarantee
Can't
you.
wait.
Like, especially if it's like a TikTok trend.
Oh, yeah. That's mostly, I've been seeing it on TikTok along with the I'm sorry for yapping cakes. Like that has been sent quite a bit. Like kids are bringing a cake to their teacher and with like a hastily frosting written note that says like, sorry for yapping or sorry we talk so much. Which
I would love that cake.
Right? I know.
I would
Are you
love
one
the
of the
cake
teachers?
and the apology.
Would you eat the cake? Are you a teacher who eats the cake if a student brings it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will.
I've eaten.
I eat whatever food. I don't care if they made it from home either. Like I
No,
am.
I
Yeah,
love that. I have students who are
you're being food.
bakers. I'm like,
Yes.
you're a baker? Well, I just like chocolate, just so you guys know. And like,
Yeah,
that's,
right.
I will drop those hints. Huh.
Yeah, it's
my
my
Do you have
favorite
the
thing.
students who obsessively watch cakes or brownies being made? Like when they have like their free time and they're right to the
No.
phones, right to the videos of cakes being made.
Oh my gosh. No, I've seen them. I had like a bunch of students that were really into tiny food making. Like, you know,
No.
like the teeny tiny, and I cannot tell you why, but it enrages me. That and Lego, like tiny Lego cooking, where it's like you're pretending to cook something, but it's just someone playing with Legos. It's a whole thing on YouTube.
I do not know what you're saying.
I don't like
Wow.
teeny tiny
No.
cooking demonstrations.
No,
They enrage me.
Yeah. Well,
You
we
just
all
look
have
up
our
later.
particular triggers.
Right. Yeah. My triggers are teeny tiny cooking demonstrations. They make me mad, or fake Lego cooking makes me really angry and irrationally so.
Listen, and that's fine. I'm trying to think like what is a particularly triggering thing for me. I don't know. I mean, maybe conspiracy theories.
That honestly fair. Yeah.
My kids
Okay.
thinking Kanye is a clone. Yeah.
It's just wild to me.
Yeah.
All right. Before I let you go, can you share what you're up to, anything new you've got, and where people can find you?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on TikTok or Instagram and now YouTube at Katy Actually, Katy. Which, fun fact, just side note, teacher story. When I was in the 8th grade, my name is spelled Katie. Well, all my life it was Katie. And in the 8th grade, I was like, I don't know if that's what I want. So
It's not who I am.
I don't think I'm an IE. I think I might be something else. So I started spelling my name Kadee. And then on the next test, it was
Ooh.
like Kayte. Like
Wow.
all Cadiey, like all kinds of Katies. So finally my 8th
Wow.
grade teacher was like, and I was just trying to see which Katie fit best. And
Yeah.
so my 8th grade teacher was like, come here. Like everybody else like went to lunch and she was like, Katy, come here. And she had all of my papers laid out with the various spellings on them. And she goes, pick a spelling. I was like, but she goes, pick a spelling. I was like, okay, that one. So I was like, Katy. I'm like, but the world was my oyster and I went with Katy.
Right. And that was your moment.
That was
Now,
my
have you
moment.
legally
That's when I
changed
became
it?
Katy. Well, because my
Okay.
name is actually Catherine, I can spell Katy
Oh.
however. And that was my rationale.
Yeah.
I go, well, my name is
That makes
Catherine.
sense.
I can spell Katy however I want.
Yeah.
And she was like,
that
maybe,
tracks.
but let's go with one. So so anyway, I'm Katy actually, ACTUALLY.
You did it. Good job.
Did I do it?
Yeah, you did it.
And then I don't know. I'm gonna do Olympic stuff this summer, I think. And then
Yay.
you know, just my normal sports content.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And you're on TikTok and Instagram, yes?
TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Technically, I'm on Facebook, but I never post on there.
Yeah. Most people, I just
You tried.
reshare everything. I really try every time, but
I have a tech question, but yeah.
okay.
I don't think we need it in your podcast, but yeah.
All right. Well, Katy, thank you so much for coming on. This has been super, super fun. Guys, make sure you go find her at Katy Actually on all the platforms, and we will be right back. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to Those Who Can't Do. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Katy. I very obviously enjoyed chatting with her and just kind of discussing the insanity that it is being a teacher in today's information age, where we just have so much information given to us from so many different sources. And even like as people who are, educated and really trying to be intentional about where we're getting our information, we just get so much thrown at us. It's really hard to kind of filter that and figure out what is the right information and what we should actually accept as fact. So I hope it inspired you to maybe include a little something in your classes about, what would we even call that? Just technology information assessment or something like that. I'm sure that there's some like very fancy curriculum-y way of phrasing it, but it's for sure a skill that I think we all need to work on, myself included, as you heard in the episode where we were like, wait, where did I hear this information? And we were not fully able to always cite our sources. So good reflection for me as well. If you have thoughts about what we chatted about today, or you have suggestions about who you would like to have come on the podcast, you can contact me at Educator Andrea on TikTok or Instagram, or you can email us at andrea@human-content.com, or you can contact the Human Podcast family at Human Content Pods. And thank you guys so much for leaving the reviews. It is so wonderful to hear those sweet, sweet things that you guys have said, including from, this one makes me laugh, Culver T34 on Apple said neat, pretty neat, which concise. I love it. If you want to catch the full video episodes every week, they are up on YouTube at Educator Andrea. And that means if you caught it on there, you would see that she was wearing my merch. So you would really feel like you're a part of the conversation. And when we get our Caitlin Clarks, you'll be able to see those too. I'll have to bring my foot up and actually show you guys. So thank you so much for listening. I am your host, Andrea Forkham, and a very special thank you to our guest co-host, Katy Kahn, not Han. Our executive producers are Andrea Forkham, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Fortizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. Our recording location is the Indiana State by College of Education. To learn more about our Those Who Can't Do's program, disclaimer, and ethics policy, and submission and verification licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. Those Who Can't Do is a human content production. Thank you so much for watching. If you're like me and you're thinking, gosh, I really need more Those Who Can't Do in my life, you can start your binging right now by clicking on that playlist button right over there. New episodes are out every Thursday, so please subscribe and join us each week on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.